Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast. Today, we have a very special episode for y'all to listen to today. We have some people on the L7C who have never done a podcast, just the two of them together. We have the My Hero Academia enthusiast, Andrea Alaniz, teaming up with our pop culture expert, Chelsea Hepper. How are you ladies doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Chelsea, how are you?
Cold.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Sorry about y'all's luck. It was a nice solid 70 degrees when I left work today. So
I'm so jealous of you. Yeah, no, it's been freezing. And I'm upset.
So as I just said, these two have not done an episode, just the two of them. Obviously, you guys heard them on the Roe v. Wade podcast. I think that was the last time you guys teamed up on something. And then the dating one way back, which feels like it was ages ago, but it was still this year. But this time it's just the two of them. They're running shit. They picked the topic we're talking about. And I'm just going to pass it to them and we're just going to go for a ride. So ladies, what are we talking about today?
You're so mean. Okay. You won't even introduce it. All right. So
it's your topic.
Anyway, Chelsea and I will be talking about astrology. It's something that hasn't been discussed, I don't think, during the podcast really at any point, and kind of a little backstory of why we kind of thought this might be a good idea is actually Martin has a habit of any time there's a anime character's birthday will send me the notification. And I noticed a lot of the top anime crushes were coming out as being having Libra birthdays, they're Libra suns. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, it makes sense because and then Martin was just like, well, why does that make sense? I was like, well, Libras are known as being charming, as being flirtatious, and all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, well, maybe we can talk about anime characters. And I'm like, wait, let's not jump anime plus astrology. Let's do a little bit of a, toe in the water astrology first. And the person that I knew that also liked astrology was Miss Chelsea. So that's why we're here.
I know. And I feel like one of our first conversations, we were getting tipsy and just started talking about our signs. And then we judged everyone around us based on their signs.
Yes.
And made people check their moms to figure out when they were born. So that way we can figure it all out.
Yes. And because that was the first year at Put in Bay. And out on the porch. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's how we bonded.
That plus Britney Spears. I mean, I love her. Oh, you can't not love her.
Absolutely.
But then Chelsea, do you want to go into
Chelsea
kind of
Britney Spears as much? Just saying.
That's true.
Just saying when that comes out and listen to our top 10 pop stars of all time, Chelsea's Britney Spears card might be revoked.
No, because she's not a real Disney girl.
Just whatever. On the Mickey Mouse. It's okay. When that comes out, you'll just have to listen to it.
So that's a fight for a different podcast.
It was on a podcast. It's just not out yet.
Ooh, okay. Well, let me know when that drops because I want to listen.
It's just sitting there casually in the editing circle.
How many are in the editing circle at any given time? Just out of curiosity's sake.
It depends on the week. Last week there was 6, 7 episodes. This week there's 4, and some go to Byron, some go to Justin. Currently Byron has both of Chelsea's episodes that need to be edited, and he still has he still has Chuck's that needs to be edited. He still has to edit his own. This one's going to go to Justin. And then you have one Sunday, Andrea, that one's going to Byron as well. So it could be 4 or 5, especially when they're in rapid succession and when there's a lot of stuff going on. So shout out to them. They both do great work.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We appreciate them so much. And sorry, Byron, if my episode coming up is going to be over an hour, I apologize in advance.
Chelsea's pop one was longer. The social media one wasn't that long.
No, that breezy, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Beautiful. Love it.
So I guess what is astrology? What is it?
So astrology kind of in a sense is, I mean, if you break it down literally, ology on anything means the study of.
Mm-hmm.
And then astro is, the stars, space. But more specifically, in the frame of reference that we're talking about, astrology is we're talking about like your zodiac signs, your birth chart, which a lot of people, they know what a zodiac sign is, but then as soon as you say the words birth chart, they're kind of like, what's that? So
yeah,
the zodiac sign that everybody kind of like, if they first look it up or somebody mentions it to them, normally they're referring to their sun sign, which means that the moment you're born, that's the position that the sun is in within our solar system when you're born. And so the sun doesn't really move. It's, obviously the rest of the planets that move around the sun. So it's where the earth is positioned during the time that you're born. And so that specific sign generally rotates on a monthly basis, and it's split up between months. So it's not like all of May is one sign, all of June is one sign. It's like half of May into June and then June into July. And then my point going across from that is your signs after that are also the positions of those particular planets the moment that you're born. And so when you do your birth chart, you want to know the location where you were born and the exact time. And the exact time is important down to the minute, because the one that varies the most, the one that rotates around the most, or the fastest, I should say, is your moon. And that one's very important, as we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, Chelsea, anything to add?
Yeah, I think people are becoming like, not necessarily with their whole birth chart, but they're starting to look at their big three, which is what you just kind of hit on. But then there's also the rising sign. Mm-hmm. So that's just on the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth too. So that one is also super finicky, which is why it's important to know your exact time of birth. But like in terms of your sun sign also, it represents kind of who you are and what your personality kind of steers towards. So like it could be your drive and your ego, what motivates you, and just like your general outlook and behaviors in life. So that's kind of like the overarching thing. And then like your moon and your rising and everything else affects that, because you might be a Gemini and only have certain traits, and that's because of your moon and your rising. It's cool.
It is cool. It's really interesting. The first time it was about 2 years ago now. I heard about a birth chart with two friends that are big into astrology. And one of them, legitimately, I was meeting them for the very first time, and they nailed my signs off rip. And it was, one, impressive, and two, once we got the results back from my whole natal chart, they were concerned. So it's really interesting to like hear how your sun and your rising, as well as your other placements, can impact your general, like you said, ego, basic personality of your sun sign. So I am actually a Scorpio sun and moon, and your moon is kind of more your internal emotional state, your potentially things that you like to keep to yourself, not necessarily let other people know about. And my rising is a Virgo. So ironically, one of my favorite things that I came across online is the running joke that a Virgo is literally a Scorpio with their legs closed. So like that's ironic. So my drawing all the signs out together, one of the ends just has an extra little loop.
So the basis of it starts at the zodiac signs, right? Mm-hmm. So for people who don't know, how many zodiac signs are they? What are they? How do they, like, since that's the basis, what are those?
Like,
yeah, like what are they? How do you like find out your zodiac sign?
So you would look at, for your general zodiac sign, you would look at the month and day that you're born in. Mm-hmm. And each zodiac sign, they correspond to different constellations in the sky. I guess we didn't mention that. So they're the different constellations. So you have, starting at the beginning of the zodiac calendar, which does not start in January. it starts the middle of March. So it starts with Aries, which is a fire sign. Taurus is a earth sign. Gemini, like Miss Chelsea, is an air sign.
Yeah.
The next one is Cancer, which is a water sign, and it goes in that same cycle. So the next sign is a fire sign. It's a Leo. The next one is Virgo, which is an earth sign. After Virgo is Libra, which is another air sign. And then Scorpio, like myself and Martin, fun fact, is a water sign. Then we have Sagittarius, fire sign, Capricorn, earth sign, Aquarius, which some people get confused because it literally has aqua in it, but Aquarius actually stands for the water bearer, and it's an air sign. And then Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac calendar, which is a water sign.
Chelsea, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think she nailed it perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then you guys talked about, like, you also brought up like different moons and like all of that stuff. And Andrew, you hinted at like the time you were born, the location, like, so once you get all of that, you get this like huge chart, right?
Yes. And how it looks visually can depend on what site you're getting it from. Because like Martin, when the site that I used to do yours came out in like a circular graph and just kind of like pointed all over the place. That was my first time seeing one like that. And it was a little hard for me to read. The one that I got was very much more like a XY axis like chart. Much more streamlined, easier for me. Especially since Martin, yours was color coded and I'm colorblind, fun fact, everybody. So that was a little bit of a struggle because they were like colored by which placement. And I was like, nope. So I had to do the cheat sheet down at the bottom.
So I guess then let's just get into and start talking about, I guess, the people on here. So Chelsea, what are all your things, signs, chart?
Yeah. So I'm a Gemini, which is fun, and I'm also a Slytherin, so I'm a double me of personality.
We're just throwing in Harry Potter houses in.
Well, of course, Harry Potter applies to everything. Okay.
Yeah. It's also October, therefore Harry Potter season. Sorry, I have to yell at my cat. Maverick. Okay. I am a Leo rising, and then I am a Virgo moon. So that's my big three.
So
yeah.
So then how does that describe you with being those things? Like, what does that mean about you?
Yeah. So like Geminis in general, we kind of get a bad rep in terms of like being considered two-faced. And that's the generic most talked about because we have a split personality. In terms of like we can go from being really chatty and like high energy and just needing to do everything all at once. But then we also have our really lows where it's like we're just going to sit back and watch and no one really knows. But we also, like Geminis tend to mold their personalities to match the energy of those around them too. So that's why people kind of think it's that we're two-faced because they just changing. And it's like, no, we're just adapting. And that's kind of the negative side. But because we can adapt and we do have those two sides, we can see different perspectives. And then one thing that really holds true is we do love gossip and we love like hearing about the drama. So it's just for me because I love celebrity news and all of that drama. So it's pretty spot on, I would say, for me. And then with my, Leo rising. So I like just looked at this too. And for a Leo rising, we like radiate positivity and charm. And we can be perceived as being friendly and outgoing. And that one I've had a hard time like accepting, mainly because of the Virgo moon, I think. Because with Virgo moons, it's a little bit calmer and just like being more reserved. So I'm all sorts of conflicting emotions here. Yeah, it's a weird weird thing inside my star sign. But it's fun. I hope.
I mean, that's what matters, is like, it's, I feel like some people use astrology to like diagnose behaviors and like write off certain things, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think it's one of those things where, just like the, is it MBTI, the Myers-Briggs something?
Yeah.
The personality test. It's like, it doesn't determine like your personality, but it can give you hints as to like things that you might not be aware of. Cause like Chelsea, with your rising description, that was my first impression of you, like spot on, the charming, like outgoing, energetic. Like, again, we were kind of on like vacation mode. Boy. So that like, there's a whole different vacation side of everybody. So like, that's not entirely fair, but like, that's the impression. And when I was looking up risings, because truly rising is where I'm weak. I don't really understand risings all that well. But in my research for this, it was basically kind of going over that your rising is like how people generally like kind of at first glance or first impressions kind of perceive you. And when I read mine, so for my Virgo rising, I'll go ahead and read it because I haven't memorized it yet. Says people who meet you may describe you as organized, put together, and reliable. You may have an air of a perfectionist, which can be intimidating. Virgo risings are communicative and curious. Friends and lovers likely come to you for advice. And Virgo is the healer of the zodiac and cares deeply about those around them. I feel like some of that tracks, but other people have told me that I come across as being organized and put together. But as soon as you get to know me, that comes completely unglued. And I don't know how I can give that impression to people because, like, I know me, so I know I'm a walking hot mess. So, like, having other people perceive me as being completely not that blows my mind.
Yeah.
So then you hinted on what that was. What's your other stuff, Andrea?
So both of my other things are Scorpio, and Scorpios in general. So it's ironic that we have kind of an entire little, oh my gosh, what trio, a little trio of the two most hated star signs on this podcast. Geminis are in general the most hated. And then Scorpio likes to say that they're the most hated, but we don't get the same level of like negativity, I would say, as Geminis do. Because Geminis get the whole like, oh, you're two-faced, you're fake, blah, blah, blah. Scorpios have a reputation of being very, I hate using the word mysterious because I don't like it. I don't think it's...
I feel like it's like mysterious and unapproachable.
Right.
Like a combination, yeah.
And Scorpios also have, again, going back to my that joke earlier, talking about how a Virgo is a Scorpio with their legs closed. Scorpios have a reputation of being like, I don't want to say promiscuous because that's not true, very sexually charged, having high libidos or being like quote unquote freaky, which is not necessarily true. But since there is that air of supposed mysteriousness, and that comes from our sign being ruled by Pluto, that it just gives us a like darker, more kind of unapproachable, like you said, Chelsea, kind of vibe, which the unapproachable thing for me, again, I've had people tell me that they did not feel comfortable approaching me, or I didn't come off as friendly, which for me, I feel like I always have made an effort to appear to be so. So that's like conflicting with my own way I think I am out there in the world. But Scorpios are also known to be, and water signs in general, have like a very deep, how should I say this? That we really like feel our emotions. We feel the depths of our emotions. We're not afraid to like dig deep in there. But at the same time, Scorpios also have the reputation of being insanely jealous and being very revenge oriented. Like you cross a Scorpio, it's a problem that we're going to get our revenge. We're going to get ours. But I don't think that's necessarily me either. But I have a lot of water placements in my other planets. And so the idea of having that depth of really just like letting yourself wallow and feel those emotions, I feel like that very much like hits the nail on the head. But the whole Scorpios are mysterious, Scorpios are sexy, Scorpios are like, no, I don't feel like that. I think that's an idealized concept, but
yeah.
So Chelsea, how did you feel when you first met Andrea? What did you think of her?
I think I did have that impression that you were put together. Not that I don't not have that impression, but it's also like part of that too is like hearing Martin like talk about you. So I kind of knew who you were and what you did in life. But I also felt that were like very, very approachable too, just because when we first met, it was a big group of people who were either meeting for the first time or people who had known each other for years but hadn't seen each other in a little while. And I think you kind of like did a very good job of melding the two groups together and like being that like common source of like just being able to take control and like talk and bring the two together. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And then
I didn't think it was really all that.
And then we did.
I mean, we did. I mean, I just attached myself to y'all's group that had known each other for like almost a decade. So
Martin, what was your first impression of Andrea and I?
That is a good question because we were at work.
Ooh, yeah.
So first, okay. So yeah, with Andrea's one, obviously, if you've listened to her the past year and a half, we met at work. So obviously when you meet at work and you're doing the same job, you think they're capable because the job we were doing was not easy. I don't want to say like perfectionist. I just thought capable. And then when you start to like, I was like, all right, well, she's doing this, so she must have some sanity or control and whatnot.
Really, I'd argue that we were all insane, but that's fine.
Well, you have to be able to do the work. And if you didn't leave at that point in time. So, but then obviously when you get to know someone, it's just like, oh, that couldn't be further from the truth from that sense. But I mean, I think I read people pretty well. So, I mean, I continued talking to her because she seemed like nice and I thought she was nice. So usually niceness is the first, like if I don't think you're nice, I'm not going to really waste my time. So, but no, that's what I thought initially. Nice. And then you got to do a job. And then in 2 days realized nice. Has a whole bunch of shit going on in her life. Nice. But so that was like in a couple days time. But
it was not a couple days. It was okay. The very first time we met, you came in passing to my supervisor's office. The next time we had direct interaction. I was still being trained at the time. So like I had to make a phone call after hours and Martin's work hours were like through the evening. So my supervisor asked him to like monitor a phone call I was making. And so that phone call unfortunately did not go well, but
which was literally like in a week time frame.
Yes, but we didn't talk again after that for some time. I don't remember when the next time was. And I swear the next time we talked, I swear, part of me thinks this is the reason that you kept talking to me is because I came out of left field owning up to the fact that I was listening to a Nickelback song at my desk. Like 100% was why? Like, because I like them. I do. I am not afraid to say that with my whole chest. I like Nickelback. I have a whole Pandora station for them. Like
you do not.
I do. I have Nickelback. I have Shakira. I have Britney Spears. I have Christina. I have BTS now. I have like so many different ones. I have a mariachi station. Like we're all over the place. Okay.
No, but I think the initial thing is like when I try and get to know someone, it could be something very simple, like something on your book bag or something like on your shirt or like something on your phone, and then I go from there. It's like, I mean, don't want to scream, but like at that time, you were with someone, and then you brought up like Yu-Gi-Oh, and then I was just like, oh well, and then so and so, and then that just leads into the avenue. It's just like those simple things that could lead into different avenues of conversation. Like I met Chelsea through Emma, so like when I met Chelsea, I was just like, oh, okay, well, she's friends with Emma, so she's all right. And then you have those like interactions then like as a
He's
group.
so complimentary. Like I love it. It's very
I mean, it was just like, well, it's not like well, in all honesty, I was just like, all right, she's cool. If she's around, she's around. If she's not, she's not. I mean, that's just how I feel about most people. I mean, that's how I felt about you too at the beginning. Like,
right, I know. It's just so okay. This is just so quintessential Martin that I don't think a lot of listeners get to hear when you like take full control and moderate the podcast. But like truly, like no, you're a very special person, and getting to know you and understand you is like so intriguing. But
I mean, yeah, I guess with that in the meeting people saying, until I have like that one moment where it's like, oh, we may actually like be friends. It's just like, okay, whatever. If I see you, I see you. If I don't, I don't. Like Chelsea's one was on like, well, for people who don't know, Chelsea is actually smart, and she got into law school, and she was
wait, what? Like what? Wait. People don't think Chelsea's smart? Like, wait, what?
No.
It's a dingbat.
Stereotypes where like, oh, people only talk about like celebrity gossip.
Oh, well, whatever. I love talking about celebrity gossip as well. And I think I'm a fairly intelligent person. So like
talk about. But
okay, I'm just checking. I was like, wait, who said this about Chelsea? Because I will come after them.
Well, in terms of like
I love that you're defending my honor.
I was going to say, like, in terms of like book smarts, we have multiple doctors here and like full-fledged lawyers on our podcast. So people don't know that like Chelsea was going to law school. She was in law school. So like that moment where she's like, oh, I want you to help write my personal statement. And then we talked about like her family and all that stuff. And I was sitting there and I was like, we may actually become friends. Am I going to be okay with this, or am I not going to be okay with this?
Obviously you're okay with
a year and a half. Yeah. But let us be clear. That was a year and a half after I had been to his house pretty much every Monday evening.
But that was with a group though. That wasn't
Saturday
individually
evening as well.
That's the thing. It's like the individual like time. Like if you're going to the group of like Emma, it's like, okay, I've known Emma for like 10 plus years. So it's like, but you like individually. And then from that to like the day we watched like House of Cards season 4 together in one sitting. It was like halfway through, we got food. I was like, so I guess we really are friends. All right. Well,
I guess
a true bonding moment.
And then obviously it's still the same. It's just like you. It's just like, oh, well, it was like, well, like fruits basket and all that stuff. And then
we were friends before that, Martin. You invited me to your house.
See, you and I's definition of friends are very different.
That's very true. That is very true.
Because
you're
before
the only
that
person
stuff,
I've ever talked to about tiering my friendships. So like obviously we.
Well, because people are idiots and they don't realize that they subconsciously tier their friends. It's just the truth. You have your top friends that you go to for absolutely everything. And then you have your other friends underneath that tier. It's like, they're cool and all that stuff, but it's like, you don't go to them from serious to funny stuff. And you got the people underneath like, oh, they're cool, but I haven't talked to them in a while. Then everyone else is like acquaintances. Like, I mean, just for you guys here, like, obviously, like, you guys are friends, but like, Andrew, you're not at the top of like Chelsea's thing with like her Cleveland foursome, and just like on the opposite, like Chelsea's not on the top of your thing with like Taylor and Abby, but you're still friends. So it's like everyone just has their tiers, and just people don't want to admit it, but it's the truth.
It's true, but I mean, I guess on the one end, it's just like I think we're going way too far off topic, but like I'll just finish my thought, and then we're going to circle back to why I feel like this whole conversation, Martin, and how you deliver all of this information is very much your Capricorn moon showing, but we will get to that in a second. So, I mean, Yeah, because like admittedly, Chelsea and I don't really talk. We did bond pretty quickly during that first like put and bay trip. When we saw each other subsequently for 4th of July, I think it was, and then my going away party right before I left. Like there was an initial, at least on my end, I'll only speak for myself. I felt like an initial like bond and closeness, even though we didn't have a lot of time. And just some like, I don't know, underlying general understanding. And so even though we don't talk all the time, I do feel confident, and I am this way with most of my friends, that even though we don't talk all the time or we don't necessarily go to each other's for those big things, I know that I could. And so therefore I classify them as my friends.
Chelsea, go ahead and say what you want to say, because I want to actually say something to that.
I was actually going to say that too. Like we clicked pretty much instantly, I would say. And like Martin and I have had this conversation of like, where if you move, like, I know for a fact we would be like BFFs, like constantly doing things together just because of that, like familiarity. Like, and it's not even that we know each other that well, but there's just like that sense of like, I don't know, like I do know you and I'm like very, very comfortable. And I know that I could also go to you if I needed something or just needed to talk something out. Yeah.
Good point. So I guess on that friendship part, I personally think sometimes it does with like, if you're meeting people for the first time, like Andrew, you said, like the put and base stuff and all that. It's like from both sides, like what's the common denominator? Because like Chelsea, I knew Chelsea longer than I've known you. She would know I wouldn't just bring someone who I didn't think would be a good like fit, like with people, and like vice versa. And then you would know that I wouldn't just take you to a whole bunch of people who I think would hate your ass.
That's true.
So it's like that common denominator thing. And also at that point too, when you two met, Andrew, you've already met like Courtney and like Cedric and like Byron and like Patrick. So like all those common denominators, then you see them interacting with Chelsea and you're like, oh, if they're cool, then they're everyone else is cool. And then the true head person of the whole little friendship pool, if Courtney's fine with them, then everyone's fine. So she's the one who truly runs this little friendship charade thing. But hi. I thought you went upstairs. All right, well, you heard that, so it's okay. But so I think also with like the common like with Chelsea, when I met like her like top friends for the first time, is like, and having conversations with them is like easier because we both know Chelsea. So those things. So there's a little side podcast thing on friendship, but continue on.
The power of friendship. We're just talking about like our anime duo
Jesus
start, whatever.
Well, so who are we on now? Are we still on your stuff?
So actually, I think for the most part, my stuff has been covered, but this is that your whole like spiel, and then us talking about friendships, tiers, and all that stuff, and your delivery of that information. I very much feel like that hits on your Capricorn moon, because earth signs in general, I'm not very familiar with earth signs. But earth signs in general are very kind of, maybe it's fire signs that are more direct, but earth signs are very kind of just, it is what it is, and you just keep moving through it. And there's not a lot of fluff with earth signs. They're very, not to be cliche, but they're grounded, they're steady, they're like solid. And I know that's a bunch of cliches on top of each other, but yeah. And I feel like the way you deliver information and the way you describe things very much shows that in a way that other people wouldn't necessarily like recognize. Now that I know that is your moon, that you're a Capricorn moon, it makes sense to me. It does. It just does. So
my thing was like the Scorpio, well, first Scorpio, and then
yep, you're a Scorpio sun.
Okay. And then what was the other stuff? You said the
Capricorn moon.
And then was there anything else, or that it?
Aries rising.
So which one? What is that?
So your Aries rising is well, you shared it with me earlier. Let me pull it up, because like the description is not something I would know, but Aries is known to be kind of like having being very quick-witted, unfortunately quick-tempered as well, but I'm not saying you're quick-tempered. And just very passionate as well. Fire signs in general, I feel like have a lot of energy. And depending on how you want to direct that energy, it could be good or bad, just like anything else.
They're also like very high achieving. Like they're just going to go after what they want because of that.
Well, I guess you guys asked me this, so I guess I'll throw it back to you guys. So starting with, I guess, Andrea, then Chelsea, because Chelsea known me longer. What were your first impressions then of meeting me? Do these signs match, or like how was that like first impression meeting thing?
You can go ahead, Chelsea, because I met him more recently and at I feel like a later stage.
Yeah. I think your signs honestly you like to a T, Martin. And it's like, at least from what I've been looking at, like being known to be intense and mysterious words hard. Like you're more aloof when you're first meeting people because you are like, you have your guard up, like you are assessing them and like looking at who they are as people and how they interact, not with the people around you, but with like strangers, because I think that tells a lot about people. And then like with your Capricorn moon sign, like you constantly, like one of the descriptions is working to build a better foundation with those like out. Like that is 100% you. Like you always challenge those around to be better and to achieve what they don't think they can. Like those traits are definitely so applicable to you. And even meeting you for the first time, so I'm pretty sure I was over for like a raw Monday night or whatever, but just like watching how quick you are to defend those around you and how quick you are to like make them want to be better people. Like those were like the first impressions I had. And then you eventually started talking to me once you accepted me. And I think you gave me an Oreo once, which was nice. So
that's a kind, that's a big gesture.
I was going to say that is like one of the biggest gestures.
Big gesture, yeah.
Yeah. Sharing Oreos or Reese's peanut butter cups. Like, oh yeah.
I used to share Skittles too, but then my doctor's like, yeah, you're gonna need to cut that shit out. I was like, that's tragic, doc. So you're gonna have to switch to gummy Skittles. So I was like, all right.
When did you get that conversation? Because like I didn't know anything about the Skittles.
Because I had so many night classes, so I would eat Skittles throughout. And then Doc's like, so like, are you like flossing like consistently? I was like, I'm not consistently. He's like, well, how many times are you eating Skittles? I'm 4 times a week. So once those fillings, it's like, yeah, you're gonna need to cut them down or go to the gummies. But so then that's when it's like, all right, well, I can share Oreos and Reese's and all that stuff. But that's what I've been doing. So, but your turn, Andrea.
Fair enough. So like, again, this was a work setting. So a lot of people professionally, at least, do have a mask is too strong of a word, but they put on that professionalism. So being one way at work versus being one way at home, I very much do that. So it was very interesting for me from my initial impression of you to being very, very focused. I feel like mysterious was a very good way to describe how like because I was trying to figure you out. It's part of being, I feel like a Scorpio is trying to figure other people out. And normally I still cannot figure you out.
Oh, I don't know what that says about our friendship, but
well, I will tell you what that says about our friendship. I'm the one sharing too much and don't share enough, or I'm not asking the right questions, essentially, is what's happening, is I'm not asking you the right questions. Because fun fact, Martin could give a whole like what was it, 10, 15 bullet point presentation on what it takes to like successfully date me.
I mean, I can do that for everyone. I can do that. I can do that for Chelsea in 100%. It's not hard to hang out with you guys and know your likes and don't like.
Oh, I wish everybody could see your face right now, Chelsea, because like
I
legitimately he on the spot.
You want a what?
Was like,
I want a PowerPoint.
Shut up.
Yes.
No.
Do it right now.
Oh no, because that's personal information. You might have some weird fan trying.
Oh yeah. No.
Because I go
don't
like
do
serious,
it on here. No.
serious.
This is a side conversation. Because like if this would have happened like on a recording, I would never show my face in public again. Because like there was too much tea spilled in that presentation. It was okay. It was after hours one day at work. Well, it was his normal hours. I was there after hours. And I don't even remember how we got to that point, but all of a sudden Martin was just like, it's not that hard. Number one, boom. Number two, boom. And like kept giving the examples. And I was just like, what? Oh my God. Like, why? Oh my God. Like, so, I mean, it was accurate, but my point is like, I feel like mysterious is not something that I feel like fits me as a Scorpio, but fits you because you are hard to figure out. I think you keep things a lot closer to the vest than I guess people would assume as a Scorpio. Scorpios are known as being mysterious and keeping their cards close. But I feel like my Scorpio moon makes me put it all out there to an extent. Whereas your Capricorn moon is just like, you don't ask, I'm not going to tell you. Like, is it really that big of a deal? Probably not. Me, I think everything's a big deal and I overanalyze stuff too much. Anyway, we're talking about you. The level of consistency, I feel like really comes out, especially like, again, you have seen me in some of my worst moments, my hyper emotional moments, and you are always very even keel, which again, I feel like goes towards your Capricorn moon being more emotionally steady. And then looking at the description from your Aries rising that you sent me today, that I felt like for the most part really fit you, mentions that Aries risings come off as brave, opinionated, and independent. You are extremely independent. I would almost say that you take pride in being independent. And you are opinionated, but I feel like to the extent that you are not like going to force your opinions on others. You're one of the best listeners that I know. And Aries risings are trailblazers who leap before looking and ask for forgiveness, not permission. And you also act on your instincts, which are usually spot on. I feel like that's very true. I think for first impressions, I would not have gotten all of that. But I think the level of cool-headedness, I couldn't figure you out. And honestly, probably sad to say, but the fact that you were so intrigued by a lot of the things that I said or was going on with me helped me to realize certain things, which made me feel like even more trusting, because I think in general, I am a pretty trusting person. Probably a little too much information, but oh well.
Fair enough. At the beginning, you guys talked about like, signs you don't vibe with. Like, how true is that, and how much do you stick to that?
I'll go first. So I've since I started kind of exploring astrology a little bit more, I've noticed that there's a lot of patterns in relationships that kind of stem from a particular sign. I will say that I now tend to take caution around air signs. However, there can be subtle differences between male versus female. And I'm not sure about any non-binary persons if it would have an impact, but I know between men and women, they say there are differences because, again, I feel like Chelsea and I clicked. You're right, Martin, having a mutual friend group and kind of having already mutual trust spread around helps. But Chelsea's not the only Gemini that I had that kind of almost initial, like immediate understanding and connection with, because Abby, who you mentioned earlier, is also a Gemini. She does have a water moon, which helps as well. But I am now treading more cautiously around male air signs. Mostly because the stereotype around that is air signs are generally very lofty and somewhat emotionally unavailable, is the stereotype. But is that necessarily true for all? Absolutely not. I've just gotten burned a few too many times to really just be like, I don't care. I think I actually am not very close friends with very many people that have a fire sign, because I feel like their energy, they have a lot of it, and I'm very hit or miss. So I think I can get very burnt out or drained when I'm around that energy a little too much. So I've just noticed in general, naturally, kind of taking stock of all of my friends, like I don't really have very many that are fire signs. Not to say that they're not great friends, not that they're not cool, whatever. It's just kind of happened that way. I don't know how.
Chelsea?
In terms of like my female friends, like I think I have a pretty healthy mix. Like I get along with Leos pretty well. Like I have a lot of friends in my life that are Leos. But like the two signs that in theory Gemini should stay away from, one of them ironically is Scorpios.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, which it's kind of funny. But I think for me, like the most trouble I've had comes from male air signs. Like I do not vibe with Aquariuses. Okay, why?
Thank God. Okay, you said it, not me. You said it, not me. Yeah, so any guys born between, let me look at the dates. January 20th and February 18th. We're talking about you.
Yeah, we are talking about you. Yeah, I do not vibe with them. Like, I don't know what it is, but I've never met a male Aquarius that I like. Like, it doesn't work. But then also, like, certain signs, like, are affected too. And I'm not an expert in this. And we, like, had a dear friend who was, but, like, you always hear, like, oh, like, we're entering the season, or like this is happening, like there's a pool being like, there's pools hanging, so then your signs like are affected by it. So like that has a lot to do with it too, because he would not talk to you if your sign was being specific affected by whatever was happening.
Oh, by the retrogrades? Is that yeah, by the specific retrogrades. I mean, the one that gets all the, haha laughs at is the Mercury retrograde, but like truly at every month there is a different sign in retrograde. Just fun fact for everybody. I don't quite understand all of that. I'm not going to speak on that. But yeah.
Like to be dramatic and say like, oh, I can't do this, Mercury's in retrograde, but do I know what that means? No. But like he would follow that rule and would not talk to you if you were in that, which is kind of funny. But I don't get along with like those who are in the Aquarius sign. But Capricorns, I think in general, doesn't matter. Love them. They're great. We love a good Capricorn. So.
When are Capricorns born?
Capricorn. So Cedric's a Capricorn. Capricorns are born between December 22nd and January 19th. So it's a sign right before Aquarius.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Right. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
The only thing I thought about that I thought maybe we would bring up at some point was the difference. There are 4 out of the 12 signs that are considered fixed or cardinal sign.
Yeah.
It's your show.
Meaning that those particular sun signs are extremely stubborn. They're the fixed sign. They're kind of like, I don't want to say the leader, but kind of like the token version of their whole group of signs. So like there's a token water, there's a token, and I can't think of a different word other than token besides leader, but leader is not right. So basically there's one in every like quarter, so every 3 months. So the fixed sign for earth signs is Taurus. The fixed sign for fire is Leo. The fixed sign for water is Scorpio. And the fixed sign for air is Aquarius. So my personal, I don't want to say beef, but like part of the maybe not mixing so well with Aquarius men on my part is because we would both be the fixed and exceptionally stubborn signs within our general element. And so there's a bit of a clash there. So if things are not driving very well, that's just going to make things worse.
Okay. Well, with that, this question is actually more for Chelsea, because you said one of the fixed things was the Scorpio thing.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, the Iron Man who started all of this, our very first podcast, he is a Scorpio. So does Mitchell also fit that thing?
Ooh, I would say yes. I would say so. Like, I mean, him and I get along because we have similar traits, but at the same time, when we would bicker, like we would bicker. So I don't know.
I was going to say, I don't know Mitchell that well, but like from what I've heard
stubborn.
of him,
plus
like it's super stubborn. Yeah.
He's so stubborn, and he'll like, this is not like a bash at him. Like he holds true to his convictions, and that's wonderful. But like, if he's got a point, he's going to make that point. And if you disagree with it, and it could be something so simple as like, the sky is blue. And like you say it's
we'll tend to argue that, well, technically, like, yeah, and then we'll get into it. Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
Scorpios want to be right.
No, I get into the technicals. And then at that point, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to kick you in the head. So that's a little bit about Mitchell.
I know. That was good. Good point. That was good. That's good. Anything else?
I'm actually wondering what everybody else is, because I'm trying to remember Byron's, because Byron's in the spring, right?
Byron's born April. He was born in April.
Late April, early April.
All right, one moment.
Because the leader of the friend group, as you said, Miss Courtney, is an Aries, and her birthday's, is it the end of March or the beginning of April?
Beginning of April 6th.
Yeah. And theirs are in the same month. And I don't remember if they're 2 weeks apart or more than that.
Let me go through, because I remember. April 21st, Byron.
April 21st. Yeah, so he's in the second day of Taurus. And then Patrick's a Gemini. When's Justin's birthday?
November. He's gonna kill me when I get November 8th.
Oh, then he's a Scorpio like us. Like that's not even. That's yeah. What about when's Junior's birthday?
My brother?
Yeah.
May 20th.
May 20th.
He's also
he's also a Taurus. Oh, really? Because the dates that I got was 4/20 is Taurus. So cusp birthdays are hard.
No, he's May, so that's 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah.
I was gonna say.
20th. Yeah. Wait, May 20th. Yeah, no, that's still listed on this one as being the last day of
Taurus.
Yeah. So I will say some sites have different dates, because there was a particular person I was involved with that most of the stuff that I looked up for his birthday, not that I do that for everybody, but his birthday normally, I absolutely. Like I try not to do it immediately, because I know some people kind of have this misconception that as soon as you like are looking up somebody's sign, then you're automatically writing them off or not. But yeah, he was February 19th, and most of the ones that I read initially put him in an Aquarius, but then like the one that I just did right now, the site that I looked at put him as the first day of Pisces. And people that have like those like kind of cusp days, as they're considered, are a little, they tend to have more traits of one versus the other. But fun fact, that actually happened to a friend of mine. She thought forever that her husband was a Capricorn. We looked up his date of birth again, did his natal chart again, and it actually put him in Sagittarius, which made much more sense. So much more sense.
Yeah, because I just looked it up, and like Junior is a cusp, and he's right like there, because Gemini goes in May 21st, and I always thought it was May 20th. But like looking at both of the descriptions, like I could vote for him, which is why he's so chaotic.
Yeah.
It's
I hope he doesn't listen to this, because if he can come after both of us, it's fine.
I hope he does. I hope he does. But I will also say male Geminis, like they
get a lot of flack too. Like they get a lot of flack.
They do, and they deserve it. 100%. And you know what? I'm going to say this. June Geminis as well. June Gemini are worse than May Geminis. They are 10 times more like chaotic, wanting a ruckus. They'll do things just to watch the world crumble, and they're going to laugh the whole way. Like that has always been my experience. I love them. They're fun, but they are chaotic.
They're chaotic, but I love them. Okay.
I mean, that's in general, that's the general feeling about fire signs. That they're chaotic, but we love them anyway. Normally the running joke is that every air sign has to have a fire sign best friend. So like, yeah.
Anything else?
I'm dumb, but like you need air to create a fire.
Okay. Chelsea, you want to do the closing?
On that same vein, every water sign needs somebody to ground them. The ocean has to meet the shore at some point to create a beach. So like,
Lord.
Right. So
yeah,
as much as it's stereotypical, it does. As much as it's stereotypical, I've literally, from my friends who are more into astrology than me and are more knowledgeable, I will admit, straight up told me to stop dating air signs, and I should probably try to find an earth sign. Like,
you're like, you need to cut it out.
It's like, you gotta cut it out. My second favorite, oh my gosh, I follow a Instagram account. I think it's called Zodiac Boyfriend or something like that. One of my favorite reels he's ever made is it's him, the candles, title saying water signs manifesting a emotionally available, loving, whatever partner.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forget the sound he uses, but then busts in the room and it's an air sign. And then the water sign just like flicks everything over, like, not again. Like, I'm just glad it's not just me. Okay. Like that affirmed me that it's not just me.
That's not.
Fair enough.
It's not.
Chelsea, you going to do the closing?
I can.
Go for it, Chelsea.
I just like kind of because I agreed to that. But thank you for listening to our very mixed podcast of friendship and astrology, because I think the two go hand in hand. I think astrology plays a lot with friendships. And now you know why we are all the way we are. And please don't come for me because I'm a Gemini. Thanks.
Yeah, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Or us for being Scorpios, or like hit us up because you think weird things about Scorpios. So like, yeah, no. We appreciate you listening to us. I was going to say this was a little bit of a chaotic podcast, which, to be fair, if you and I did hang out all the time like we would have if I stayed in Ohio, this is probably what any hangout between the two of us would be like. So, and Martin's face right now also is classic. I'm sure he's regretting doing this with us and doesn't want to do it again, but we should do another podcast together.
I'm just making sure I don't end it before you finish the closing. That's all.
I know. And hopefully people will actually hear this and it won't get scrapped.
I actually kind of hope it does get scrapped. It's fine. We're fine. I said a little too much today.
It won't get scrapped. So, all right. So what's the last word?
Like, comment, subscribe, interact with us. Let us know what you think, except please don't hate on us, please. We appreciate all the support, and I think that's it.